Well, g'day, curd nerds. G'day, curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day, curd nerds. Welcome back. This is Ask the Cheeseman, episode 244. Thanks for joining me today. So many lovely people in the chat today. So, yeah, let's get on with it, I suppose. For those who don't know, I'm Gavin Weber, and I'm the host of the show today. I'm the host of the show every day, every time. I'm looking like I need a bit of a haircut, but we'll get to that on the weekend, I reckon. We'll see how we go. But, yeah, it's lovely to see you all. So, of course, it would be amiss of me not to mention all of the wonderful people that support the show financially. We have so many YouTube members. No new ones this week, but thank you so much for all of the current YouTube members, past and present. And not forgetting, of course, the patrons, where it all started. Thank you, all of my patrons, and no new ones this week either. But thank you very much for your financial support, because without it, there wouldn't be a twice-weekly show and cheese-making videos. So, very cool. Thank you so much. One thing I have to mention is that, well, I'm hoping tomorrow, the new video for this week, the Festive Fromage 5 Easy Cheese Balls, will be released. I recently released in the last couple of days the Gavin Reacts number 2 to the photos, so that's out there as well. If you want to check out that, but yeah, stay tuned for the Festive Fromage. That'll be good fun. It's going to be in 2 parts. There's the making video because it was going too long, and then I did a taste test video, and I've got our good friend Stacey who helped me taste all the cheese balls. So that was good fun, and she's a bit of a card, so yeah, it was a great fun recording it. So anyway, we're moving right along. We got lots of people in the chat today. Let's say, who's the first person? Was Shauna. G'day, Shauna, lovely to see you, and thanks for all the photos of your cheese fridges. You've got 3 cheese fridges, so that's dedication as far as I'm concerned. Next person was Cool Cat in the UK. G'day, Cool Cat, how are you? Got Habib in Lebanon. G'day, Habib. We've got Armin. Not sure where Armin's from. There was somebody from Brazil. Where was that? No. Maybe. Not sure. Did I see somebody from Brazil? I've missed them. No. Oh, there it is. Despache Central. I think that's how you say it. I can't figure that out. All right. Who else? We've got Michael and Jenny. Hello in South Australia, enjoying a glass of wine. Where is it? There it is. So hopefully Jenny's recovered from COVID. Michael, just say g'day to both of you. Fantastic. Hope you're all good. What's that? M Gray. There you go. In the US, managed to catch a show. Yeah, be a bit early there for you. We've got Eagle. G'day, Eagle. And Anthony. Bit early for you too, mate. We got the week off. How good's that? I can't wait until this e-commerce rush is over. So about 3 days before Christmas. Sorry, just take a sip there. 3 days before Christmas, we shut up shop, and we shut for between 2 and 3 weeks. We haven't made a decision yet. Depends on how tired we are at the end of it. But at this stage, it'll be at least 2 weeks, and we won't open until mid-January, just to have a break from it all. And not many people are making cheese in the Australian summer anyway, where the vast majority of the orders come from. But thanks, Anthony. Emily, hello Emily, all the way from Japan. Lovely to see you again. Who else we got? Katarina, g'day, how are you? Lovely to see you. And Dominique, back from Paris, or are you still there, mate? I think you spent a bit of time there in France. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Ryan, g'day Ryan, and Donna, how are you? Well, good to see you. Have I missed anybody? Let's have a look. Oh, we got lots more people. Boaz from the Netherlands, and Lisa from Lebanon as well. Barry, Vermont, that's where Ryan is. Armin's from Hungary, and Michael says that Jenny is back at school. She's a teacher. She's not a student. Cool. What's this? Dominic says, moved back in Australia, moved to Castlemaine. That's fantastic. There was somebody from Castlemaine the other day. Who was that? CL. I don't know if she'll be joining, but she's from around Castlemaine anyway. And another fellow cheese lover and cheesemaker there. And apparently there's a great little artisan cheese making mob there in Castlemaine, Dominic. What are they called? Lakeside Cheese or something like that? I think that's it. And they make this really wicked bark-wrapped cheese. Apparently it's to die for. RTD Jazz is from Oklahoma. Lovely to see you all today. So, if Long Paddock, that's the one. Long Paddock, what did I say? Lakeside, I was close. Long Paddock cheese, well done, mate. Yes. Apparently it's really good. Okay, so if you've got any questions, now's the time to ask. If you have a burning question, don't forget that you can always light up the Curd Nerd light with a super chat, and I will get to that with a priority, of course. That's what we do around here. Dominic says that there are French cheesemakers and that I should come around. Yes, I should. I need to. I'll need to wait until me break though, mate. Unfortunately. Okay. Ryan has a question. What are your ideas with medicinal? What is it? Medicinal marijuana and cheese, both benefit, opportunity. How would you go about making your run? Serious question too. Don't know. It's banned here in Australia. It's not legal. What's the? There's an ingredient, TH something, THC. That is the thing that is the medicinal part of marijuana. Yeah, definitely. You could add it to cheese. You could add the liquid, and it's pretty expensive though. You could add the liquid to the milk. There wouldn't be any hassle with that. Hopefully enough of it would come across in the curds once they solidify. So I'd add it at the very start, as long as it's not too acidic. If it's too acidic, then it will probably curdle the milk. So that may be an issue. Yeah, there you go. See, THC, I was close. So I would check the acidity of it first. It should be roughly pH neutral if you're going to add it to milk. If it's too acidic, it will curdle the milk slightly, and that'll be no good for a curd set. So check that out. So yeah, I would add it to the milk and then proceed with any cheese that you're thinking of making. So give it a try. Hopefully some of the THC comes across. But yeah, I'm happy. That was I knew that was a serious question, I could see. Okay. Ryan says it's legal and do with butter. I'm a medical patient, not anesthetic. That's okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so that's how you would do it. So, RTD Jazz says you would lose a lot in the whey, most likely. Yeah, possibly. I think some of it would get trapped into the curd. But yeah, and you could do something with the whey as well. You could even make bland with the whey. So go and check out my how to make alcohol from whey video. Yeah, and the THC certainly wouldn't be lost then. It would go in there. Anthony says THC is fat soluble, so probably no loss into the curd actually. Okay, so it should go in there. Oh, no loss into the whey. Right. So it probably, well, Anthony thinks that it may stay with the curds, so you give that a go. Alrighty. If you have any... Alright, thanks for the time. Fat soluble. There you go. Yeah, it should work. There you go. There you go. How to make medicinal cheese. Very cool. I've got a joke for you all, of course. So, I don't know if it's a good joke or a bad joke. So, why was the cheesemonger lopsided? He only had one Stilton. Get it? One Stilton, as in stilt on. Goodness me. Okay, one more lame joke. One more lame joke. What do you call a dinosaur made of cheese? Anyone? Anyone? Gorgonzilla. Yep. I didn't say they were any good. They're just very lame. Alrighty. So, more of that later, of course. Katarina's got a comment. Says, Ryan, you would have to decarboxylate the cannabis first because the temperature of the milk is not hot enough. Okay. And then there's some 270 degrees for 45 minutes. So that's... I don't know what that is in Celsius. Let's have a look. Hey Siri, what's 270 degrees Fahrenheit in Celsius? All right, 132 Celsius. So that's pretty high. Obviously above boiling point. Yeah, it'd have to cool down again. But anyway, yeah, cool. Lisa says, Mr. Gavin, I made goods a few weeks ago. It was great, but this time when I put them in salted boil, what's that? Something yellow? Can you tell me, please? Lisa, I'm having oh, okay, what's that? You get a bit more information here, hang on. Right, Howder, I mean, okay, so when I made, this is confusing, I made Gouda. Right, I made Gouda a few weeks ago, and it was great, but this time when I put it into the brine, it became yellow. Right, goodness me. Look, it depends on the beta carotene in the milk. So cow's milk has a higher content of beta carotene than goat's milk and sheep's milk. They're both kind of like make white cheeses. Whereas cow's milk has a lot more beta carotene, which makes the cheese go yellow. So the higher the fat content, the more yellow the cheese goes. Especially if you haven't added annatto, of course. But that'd be the reason why, if that's the case. Dwayne, and lovely to see you, mate. Why did the man lose his job at the knife factory? Because he just couldn't cut it. Goodness me. Yes, that's worth one of those. Right, cool. Very cool. Yeah, so, and Donna's got a question. Oh, hang on, where is it? Anthony says, I bought ripening boxes to try out, since you need a topic. Yeah, so ripening boxes, great devices. They're just plastic tubs, right, basically, that are a little bit bigger than your cheeses. And Anthony's got a follow-up question. If the ripening boxes work out, should I just ditch the humidifier and use all boxes? Look, I do. I've never used a humidifier in my cheese fridge because I know the sort of mould that it's going to grow in there and the cross-contamination, all that sort of stuff. When I'm making different sort of mould cheeses, like if I've got blues and whites in the fridge, then definitely I use ripening boxes, and you wouldn't need the humidifier. Like I said, I don't have one in my fridge, and it doesn't make any difference because everything that I want, natural rind, they're always in ripening boxes. That includes things like Gruyere and Tom and those sorts of cheeses that need a natural rind. I just put them in the ripening box, just make sure that that you do turn it regularly because they need oxygen and a bit of air to help it harden the rind. So yeah, good question. Thanks, mate. Donna says, when making a high temperature cheese during the cooking stage, if the curd doesn't reach the required temperature in the allotted time frame, should I continue cooking until it reaches that temperature? Yes, Donna, you should. So the slower you go, the less bitter the cheese is going to be. So, but if you heat it up too fast when you're making a high temperature cheese, the curds hold too much weight, and therefore they'll become too acidic and maybe even bitter. So if you go slower and you're going a little bit longer time, yeah, there's going to be a little bit more acid development, but that won't matter because it's not holding onto as much whey. So I think that'll be fine. So yeah, Donna, good question. So the answer is yes. Alrighty, Michael says, Gavin, why is it that some cheeses we mill with salt and others we brine? I am finding that the cheese I mill are a lot smoother, and those that are brined, we find the brine cheeses more crumbly. Yeah, it depended on where the cheese originated from. So you'll find that a lot of the brined cheeses come from around countries around the Mediterranean. So what they used to do was grab a bucket of water, let it evaporate a bit, and then as soon as salt started to dissipate out of the seawater, they knew that it was at full concentration. So, but other countries like the UK, they decided when they were making their cheese, they'd throw salt into the curds itself before they pressed it, so when they milled it. So it all just depends on which area the cheese was originally made. And having said that, some cheeses, like a lot of French cheeses, are dry salted. So they use a totally different method as well. They do all impart different, draw out different amounts of moisture and different amounts of salt absorption. It doesn't really have too much to do with crumbliness. That's more an acidic factor. So it sounds like the cheeses that you're brining may not be brined long enough, or the concentration of the brine is not high enough. So because, and the reason I'm thinking this is because if there's not enough salt, the lactic bacteria then continues to eat the lactose. The salt is the inhibitor. So it sounds like maybe your brine cheeses are not brined long enough. So maybe try an hour or two more next time when you make those cheeses that you think tend to be crumbly. Yeah, they may go a lot better, is what I'm trying to say. I need a drink, I think. Goodness me. And not just coffee. Okay. RTD Jazz says, I haven't tried making cheese, but I love watching your videos and want to give it a go. What would be the best cheese for a rookie like myself? Best cheese to make for a rookie like myself. It depends on what sort of cheese you want to start with. So if you want to make a soft cheese, then the best ones to start with, ricotta, paneer. Halloumi is probably the next step up from that. Ricotta salad is always good because it's just ricotta, then heavily salted, then pressed. Feta is another good one. Very simple. Try the cow's milk feta, which is more like a white cheese than feta itself traditionally. And then you can move on to simple semi-hard cheeses like Caffili, it's ready in 3 weeks. Guido's, which is a hard Italian cheese, that's also ready in 3 weeks. So there's some suggestions. Pick one and basically go for it. You learn by making mistakes when you first start making cheese. And you couldn't do any worse than actually getting a kit to start with, because you know it'll have all the stuff that you need. And like all the kits that we've got some kits there behind, and they're everywhere. over at littlegreenworkshops.com.au, and I only say that because they have all the books, and I started with a kit, and I didn't have too many problems at all. Another question is from Dwayne, says, is it possible to put seaweed in homemade cheese for a different flavour? If you're talking about the nori paper, yeah, you could crumble it. Remember, it kind of disintegrates as soon as it hits moisture, so it really won't have a different texture. It'll just be soggy and absorb into the rind. It does have a fairly high content of iodine as well, naturally. That may inhibit some of the lactic bacteria growth, so that may be something to be concerned about. But I couldn't say that it wouldn't work because I've never tried it. But that's my thoughts on it anyway. Cool Cat says, I assume that the air dry in the fridge that keeps the mold from going crazy. Oh, sorry. I assume it's the dry air in the fridge that keeps the mold from going crazy. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So the higher the humidity, the more room for mold growth, and the drier the fridge, the better off you are as far as mold jumping from one ripening box to the other. So that is a good observation, Cool Cat. Okay, Habib says, hey Gavin, I recently made some cream cheese but forgot to put the culture. The curd was a good set, but the cheese is draining. After draining is tasteless. How can I consume it? Add some flavourings. The bin. I wouldn't throw it in the bin, mate. It'll be tasteless because there's no lactic acid development. So it'll be very similar to mascarpone. Doesn't have much of a taste. So it's kind of thick like that. As long as it's smooth, you could use it like mascarpone. So anything you use for mascarpone, I would use that. Suzanne says, I'm new at cheese making. I've used recipes with quinase, and I'm not... Quinase? What the heck is quinase? Righto. And I'm not very fond of the taste. Can I use half or do something else? If somebody can explain to me what quinase is, or... Right. Lipase. Right. Okay, Suzanne. Yeah, you got me there. That's a good one. So you tricked the cheese man. Yeah, look, you don't need to add lipase if you don't want to. Lipase is naturally occurring in raw milk. So it's when the milk gets pasteurised, a lot of the lipase gets destroyed. That's the only reason we add it in there. Lipase tends to make the cheese pretty funky. The Italians call it piccante, which means spicy. So yeah, the sorts of cheeses that kind of have lipase added are things like hard Italian style cheeses mostly have it. I tend to add a little bit to if I'm making a manchego, or somebody said the other week, what do they call it? Muchego. So a cow's milk manchego, even though manchego is made in Spain with 100% sheep's milk from manchego sheep. So, yeah, it's yeah. So yeah, that's the best thing you can do. Don't put it in or make cheeses that don't have lipase. Probably that simple, really. Geordie. Hello, Geordie. Lovely to see you. Hi, Gavin. It is my first time here. I have a question you probably have answered in the past, but I would like to know the answer. Sure. How did I know it was going to be that? Oh, goodness me. What is your favourite cheese? All together now in the chat for all those who know the answer to that question. Okay, moving right along. Steve, g'day Steve. Morning. Sorry I'm late. I do have a note, honest. Yes, I want to see the note from the teacher. Very cool. And there's a bit of conversation going on about stuff. Cool Cat, he got the answer right first. So, my favourite cheese is all the cheeses. There we go. They all got it. So yeah, so that's the cheese, Geordie. All the cheeses. I don't have one single favourite cheese. I love them all. I wouldn't be here otherwise. Oh, Anthony, you're so funny. Although he does like Wensleydale. Yes. Yes. It's better than Gwendolyn. She doesn't like Wensleydale. And if you know who Gwendolyn is, well done. You got the reference. Even Donna says all the cheeses. Very cool. McGray says, any advice for somebody wanting to make a first farmer's cheese due to the simplicity but has to deal with space limitations? I'm in an apartment, so I'm not sure how to go about it. Look, I've seen people make cheese in a paddock with just one of those portable gas burners that you put those bottles in. I've done it myself. I've made cheese outside. You can make it in the smallest of spaces. So as long as you've got a heat source and you've got a draining area, whether that be the ground in a paddock, doesn't really matter. But in an apartment, it'll be your sink area. So I don't think you're going to have too many problems. Stir-curd cheddar is a good first cheese to start with because it's simple. And you get a nice cheddary flavour if you use the right starter cultures. So I tend to use MA 4001 by Choose It, Danisco Choose It. So you could do that. It's very good. Geordie says, fair enough, wise answer. Indeed. So don't take sides when you're making cheese, unless you're a cheesemaker of that second favourite, most of the cheeses. Well, goodness me. Lisa says, Mr. Gavin, can you make Cashcaval cheese? Thank you. I did. Cashcaval is very similar to Caciocavallo. The recipe is almost exactly the same from what I have seen. So if you, let me just pull up the channel. That's not the droids I'm looking for. Hang on, 2 seconds. Don't want to break anything. Silence is golden. Right, if we go to the channel and we go to, where the heck is it? There's a little searchy thing. And I'm looking for Caciocavallo. There we go. So Caciocavallo is a very simple cheese to make. I'm not going to play it, but I'm getting the link. So, very simple. It's very similar to, like I said, it's very similar to Cashcaval. So, there you go. Hope that helps. RTD Jazz. I'll just call you Jazz. How's that? Jazz sounds good. What is the best, easiest way to make a cheese cave? Oh, have I got a tip for you? Rightio. Yes, I do. Let's get that back up, and we'll go to the my cheese blog. So I got a cheese blog. It's called Little Green Cheese. It says cheese making at home with Gavin Webber, the Cheeseman. The name is a bit deceiving because it's not called Cheeseman TV, which I've called the YouTube channel, and Gavin Webber. But yeah, so everything you want to know about cheese is on this blog. Well, a lot of stuff anyway. And how to make a cheese fridge. So here's the post here. Very simple. Tells you the sort of fridge that I used, the sort of external thermostat that I used. So I will pop that into the chat now, and you can go and have a read. There you go. Bob's your uncle. So that'll help out, and I hope you won't have too many problems. Okay, Suzanne says, other than lipase, aging of course, what makes cheese sharp? Sorry about the Canase typo. Yeah, you got me a good one. There's only two things, and that's lipase and aging. So maturation, that makes cheese sharp. Don't try and cheat it. It won't work. The longer you leave the cheese, the sharper it's going to be. Especially if you're making cheddar style or any sort of cheddared sort of cheese from the UK. So a lot of the varieties are cheddared. Even Caerphilly from Wales is cheddared. So yeah, that's how aging is the key. It's the breakdown of all the proteins into their smaller components, and that's what makes the cheese sharper. Okay, it's time for the gallery, ladies and gentlemen. And we've got some lovely photos today. Let's pull them up. And that one. First of all, we've got Michael. Let me hang on. Where the heck is where's the thing? Oh, there we go. There's the gallery. So first of all, we got this is from Michael. So those who remember, is it last week or the week before? Michael said that his cheese, his pepper jack was really bitter. Anyway, he says here, "Hi Gavin, decided experiment with 300 grams of the pepper jack that was bitter and lacking salt, because they forgot to add it during the curd setting, and 300 grams of Guido's hard Italian cheese. I made my own sodium citrate and added a dash of salt." Okay, so they're the two cheeses. That one was the bitter one here down the bottom, and that's the Guido's hard Italian cheese, which, if I remember rightly, was really good. So he grated them all up and made, on my suggestion, American cheese. So it says, "I made my own sodium citrate, added a dash of salt, used a silicone cake mold to form the cheese. They came out great. Lovely taste, happy with the result. Thanks, Michael and Jenny." So we actually, funny you should say that, we actually sell these cake molds as well on the soap making side of Little Green Workshops. So I never thought of using them to make little cheese wedges like that. That's perfect. And I'm glad it changed the flavour like I kind of expected. Like I said, when you heat the cheese up, the bitterness goes away. So well done, Michael and Jenny. And you got some nice little processed cheese wedges. Not really processed very much because of the sodium citrate. Sodium citrate, water, salt, and cheese. It's not processed too much. But yeah, that's amazing. And it looks like it's going to have the little chili pepper bite with that the pepper jack. So that's brilliant. Well done to you both. Alrighty, the next one is from Shauna. Now, Shauna's been a busy lady down there in Tasmania. Shauna says, "Good morning, Gavin and Kim. Just a couple of photos for the gallery. The cheese will be ready between early December right up to August 2023. I'm giving some away on platters for Christmas gifts." So, in fridge number 1, and there are 3 fridges, by the way, and these are full-length, tall kitchen fridges. So you can see that Shauna uses a lot of ripening boxes. So she's got no humidifier in there. She's got the little lead here, so this little black line here. That is the probe for the ink birds. She's got some ink birds down here, which are external thermostats, and they're controlling the temperature of the fridges. It says, in fridge number 1, this is my natural rind fridge. In here we have Fontina, Gruyere, Camembert ×6, Manchego, Saffron Manchego, Smoked Paprika, Caffili, and her brine bucket. She's got her brine buckets here down the bottom. So, absolutely fantastic. So, in fridge number 2, this is the vacuum pack fridge with a couple of extras. So here we have on the top shelf, Leodama, Cheshire, Lancashire by 2, Gaviera, yeah, nice, Alpine Montasio, and Cantal. Second shelf, Winchester Rock, Guido's, Piora, Red Leicester, Salgiorgi, and Gruyere. On the third shelf, goodness me, Farmhouse Cheddar Blue, Cotswold, Colby, Budakaiser, Sweet Canella, and Rosemary Asiago. On the fourth shelf, Queso Chihuahua, Derby, Orange and Walnut Caffili, and Double Gloucester. On the fifth shelf, Drunken Cow, Marble Cheddar, Mead Washed Alpine, Red Windsor, Wensleydale with Sage, and Vacherin Fibourgeois. Oh, I can't pronounce that. Bottom shelf is raclette in the tub down there. And I can see truffle manchego little bits. You didn't mention the door. Okay, so that's the second fridge, and the third fridge is a doggo. Fridge number 3 is a normal fridge where I keep my milk and cheeses that have finished ripening. So this one doesn't have temperature control. Well, it does have temperature control. It's like 4 degrees. I said, in here, apart from the Christmas ham and lots of eggs, there is an Edam and a Caerphilly and a nosy German Shepherd. Shauna, can I just say I'm gobsmacked. I've got one tiny little bar fridge, and all the other pieces of cheese I put into the kitchen fridge, and there's a bit in there, I must admit. But I give away so much, and like you said, you're giving away heaps for Christmas. That's why you're making so much. But well done, mate. Well done. Very cool. Last but not least is your Leyden, which is better known as Kamainekas or Cumin cheese. I haven't done this one for about 12 months, but really like it. And I can see you using my book. Ah, very cool. But you've got another copy, so that's cool too. So thank you. 90% of the cheeses are from your recipes and tutorials, and I think one of the things I appreciate the most is that you show when things go wrong. I think I may be ready for Christmas. 3 smiley faces. Just. All the best, Shauna. Thank you, Shauna. Those cheeses are amazing. Well done to you. So I'm gobsmacked. Brilliant. Well done. One last photograph. This is a sneaky one that I put in here. So this is my 5 cheese balls, or my festive fromage. Kim did all the decorations. I made the cheese. So not only did I make the French cream cheese for all of the cheese balls, I also made the chowder that went into 2 of the cheese balls, and the cheddar. I used some of my cheddar, but I did use some packet cheddar. You can see a little bit there on that cheese ball. But I used some of my cheddar as well. So there are all of the cheese balls. Very, very cool. And that video will be out this week. Like I said, it'll be in 2 parts. There'll be the making of the 5 cheese balls, and then there'll be a taste test later on in the week. So I'll do them like back to back. They'll be pretty quick. So very cool. Thank you, everybody, for sending those photos in. Thank you to Michael and Jenny, and to Shauna for sending stuff into the gallery. Now, how do you send stuff into the gallery? Everybody asks. What you do is you go to the channel like this, and you go to the About tab, and down here, for business inquiries, you go and check out the email address. Now, if you're logged in, you'll see it when you click on it. I'm not going to do that because I'll get spammed. Thousands of emails going to my email address. But yeah, there's a little capture thing you got to do as well. So you have to be logged in, and you can only do it on a browser. You can't do it on the iOS. So you can't do it on your phone or what's this? iPhone. You can't do it on a Android on the app itself. You can't go there. So you can do it on an iPad in a browser. So yeah, so if you've got pictures of cheese, then feel free to send them in to my email that you'll see there. And yeah, it's all very cool. Thank you so much. Alrighty, we've got lots of questions. I think Dr. Ganjaman says, thank you, Gavin, for all your efforts to educate us and help us make real cheese. I saved so much time and money. Besides, I never ran out of cheese like before. Cheese, mate. Thanks, Doctor. That's fantastic. Suzanne says, when I make yogurt, I seed a new batch with a cup of my plain yogurt from the previous batch. Can a piece of brie cheese, rind and paste, be used as cultures for making a batch of the new cheese? No. So, and the reason I say that is because when a cheese ages over a couple of days or a week, then the lactobacteria actually die and break down into enzymes. So there are no viable lactic bacteria left to inoculate into another cheese. It just doesn't work. Back in the old days, they didn't have the issue because they just used raw milk, and in the raw milk are live lactic bacteria anyway. So every batch of raw milk you had fresh cultures, which you can do. You know, you can use raw milk and have no issues whatsoever. As for the white mold, that tends not to propagate very well. Blue mold does. I've seen people pull out bits of blue mold, put them into warm milk, and then mix that into their milk for another batch of blue cheese, and that can work. Not as good a blue mold growth as you would if you add in DVI or direct vac inoculated cultures and molds. But yeah, there are ways around it. For mesophilic cheeses, you can use cultured buttermilk. That does work. Very hit and miss though, because sometimes they have really fast acidifiers in them, as in lactic bacteria that acidify really fast, and you get a very crumbly cheese. You can also use yogurt itself as part of a batch of thermophilic culture. I've certainly done that in my... I think I added it to gorgonzola as well, which needed a little bit of yogurt. It would have told me it needed it, and it worked. I certainly got the right texture for gorgonzola, so that was good. But yeah, so that's what you can and can't do. Anthony says, at Shauna, I'm so jealous. I want a full-size fridge without a freezer. I've been eyeballing a commercial one on Craigslist. So yeah, like I said, if you go to that link that I put into the chat, you can convert a normal kitchen fridge just using the Inkbird external thermostat, and it'll work no problems at all. I have never had any problems. Satia 7, I think that says that. Those herbal cheeses sound delicious indeed, and they were amazing. Suzanne says she's got cheese fridge envy from Shauna, and well done. Is there something about Shauna's doggo? Yeah, Shauna says thank you everybody. And yes, she is a very nosy German Shepherd. You can't open a fridge door without her being interested. I think the ham helped. Indeed, I got 2 Westies, and yeah, as soon as you open the fridge door, they're there. Mainly because Kim, when she opens the freezer door, which we've got a twin freezer fridge thing, 2 doors, she always drops 2 ice cubes on the ground, and the doggos love, I don't know what's with Westies, they love ice cubes. Maybe it's dogs in general. But yeah, they're fighting over an ice cube, so maybe that's why they're at the fridge. Could be the cheese too. Could be there's a fair bit there. Okay. M. Gray says, it would seem my cat, funnily enough, named Cheddar, has decided to join and watch the streams as well. He's cheering everybody's cheese on, I think. Well done. Very cool. Where else? Katerina says, I have a 6-month cloth-bound cheddar, and I feel the rind is getting quite firm. That's good. I was hoping to age it for another year or so. I plan to vac pack it soon. Should I remove the banding before vac packing? I wouldn't. The lard, the mold eats the lard, of course, on the outside of the cloth. And you just end up with this white powder on the outside of the cloth, and that part of the rind is always hard. That's why you never see the cloth on a cheese, on a cheddar cheese, because they cut it off. That's the thick part, the rind. They always cut that bit off. So you could do that, but if you're going to age it for another year, you're going to definitely have to vacuum pack it, because it's going to end up like a golf ball. It's going to be rock hard. So yeah, vacuum packing, or if you're going to remove the cloth, then you could no, to be safer to vacuum pack. If it's dry, it's not gonna, you're not gonna seep anyway, so it should be good. Anyway, very cool. Cool Cat says, gotta go. See you, mate. Hope I didn't miss you. But anyway, see you later. Anthony says, I believe that you can also use whey from recently made cheese to inoculate another batch of milk. If you check the Art of Natural Cheese Making, I believe the author goes over this. Yes, you can. In fact, common, well-known cheeses such as Parmesan and Lord Voldemort cheese that cannot be mentioned due to cease and desists, and Skyr. Those three cheeses I absolutely know they reuse the whey, but only 24 hours. If it's over 24 hours, they don't use it. So they keep the whey and keep it at the right temperature, about 30 degrees Celsius. And that grows, of course, the lactic bacteria, and then they add that back to the next day's batch of milk. So, Anthony, you're right on the money, mate. Okay. Suzanne says, thank you for answering my question. So happy I've joined this family. Indeed, we are the family of curd nerds. It's good fun. And the chat is lively tonight, which is fantastic. Quick question from Shauna says, what are the differences in the mesophilic cultures? I've got MO30 and MA4001. Do they suit different styles of cheeses, i.e. hard, semi-soft, etc.? Yes, so the MO30 style is your two basic mesophiles, Lactobacillus lactis subspecies lactis and Lactobacillus subspecies cremoris. They're your basic mesophile used for semi-hard cheeses. Sometimes you can use them from cheddars. I did originally until I discovered MA4001, which is a stronger mesophilic. It actually has 4 cultures, and I can't remember them because I'm a duffer. But I will, let's have a look. Little Green Workshops, that's the place to go, apparently. So, Little Green Workshops, where are we? Where's my cheese making supplies? Goodness me, if I knew these things, I'd be a clever man, but, you know, that's why I have a website that I can go to. So, MA4001, which is currently not in stock. So, it has 4 strains. So, it's got the Lactobacillus lactis and LLLC. It's also got Biovar diacetylus, which makes a buttery sort of smoothness. I don't think there's very much of that in there. And there's some Streptococcus thermophilus, or ST. So those 4 tend to make the cheese stronger. And apparently they are already present in raw milk, most of them. So you'll get a much stronger sort of cheddar-y style if you use that mesophilic specifically. So I tend to use it now in Caerphilly, cheddars, any cheddar-y style cheese, I'll use those ones. So that's the mesophilic of choice for those sorts of things. Robin, Spice Packs, has just joined us in the UK. Just drag yourself out of bed. I'm glad you've caught the tail of the show. We've got 12 minutes to go, but hit us with your questions. Okay. Mohammed says, geez, you've been streaming for ages. Ages as in, what, forever? 244 episodes? Yeah, I probably have. And yeah, I've been streaming for 50 minutes now. What is the best easy cheese to make with raw goat milk? The best easy cheese to make with raw goat milk is Cherve, which is French for goat, which just is a cream cheese. It's goat's cream cheese. Very simple to make. I'll dig up the recipe for you if I can find it. Let's find it. Have I spelt it correctly? No. Right, here we are.
We're going to be making chèvre.
Rightio. Where's me thing? Right, so here it is. Oops, that's me. See, I do make cheese outside. This is on my patio. And it was a warm sort of day in the kitchen. It was a bit cooler outside. So I'm using goat's milk there. This is a brand called Caprolac. I don't know if they make it anymore. But I made cream cheese. So I will copy that, pop it back into the chat, and you can go and check out that video. That's for making soft goat cheese. So Best way, best and easiest goat cheese to make with raw milk. It's beautiful. I probably wouldn't even add cultures to it if you're using raw goat's milk. It'll already have lactic bacteria in there, so it'll be fine. Where is it? Oops, that one. Dominic says, what difference would you do to make yogurt from raw milk instead of pasteurized milk? A lot of people, I've heard a lot of conflicting information, if that makes sense. So with raw milk, I would still do what I do with pasteurized milk, and that's denature the proteins. It sets a far better and stronger curd. So what you do, you heat the milk up to 92 degrees Celsius and then let it drop back down to about 40, where you inoculate it with the yogurt culture, which is basically two strains, Lactobacillus lactis subspecies bulgaris, and usually it's ST, so Streptococcus thermophilus. So that's what's in most yogurt cultures. There are some other individual strains as well. But yeah, once you drop the temperature back to 40, pop the thermophilic cultures in, which are yogurt cultures, and let it inoculate and keep it warm. Though by denaturing the proteins, you'll find it sets a far creamier and more solid yogurt. So I would do the same whether it was pasteurized, unhomogenized milk or raw milk. Anyway, very cool. Katarina says, just checking to see if the curd nerd light is working. Indeed it is. Thank you so much for the $10 Australian, Katarina. I really appreciate it. Okay, last few questions before we head off for the night. Nicholas says, is it all right to make cheese with milk that has been previously frozen? Indeed it is. It works. So a lot of people who have their own animals don't necessarily get enough milk from one milking, and they simply freeze the milk. So they'll freeze the milk, put it in the freezer, and then when they've got enough of the milk, they'll defrost the whole lot of it, the raw milk, and then combine it into one big pot and then slowly heat it to melt it, and it works. Now, I personally done this before. I had a friend come over from Tassie. She lived in, or she probably still does live, in Cygnet, just south of Hobart. And she had a friend up the road who had a cow called Sophie. How do I remember the cow's name? And sometimes not the people's names. But yeah, she had a cow called Sophie. And she sanitized a whole bunch of, those pasta jars, the big tall ones, passata, and shipped the milk over from Tassie in her car across the ferry, and gave me the raw milk. It was still frozen when I got it, so then I used it, and it was absolutely fantastic. What did I make out of it? I made a raw milk Romano, and the video's on the channel as well. So yes, you can, certainly. I wouldn't leave it frozen too long. A few weeks would be no problem, but I wouldn't leave it for months and months and months. Shri Ram, g'day mate, how are you? What are the easiest cheeses to make in tropical India, near sea level where humidity is high and the temperature is 20 to 30 degrees Celsius all year round? So if it's between 20 and 30, that's fine. That's certainly what it is here in the summertime here in Australia. Well, where I live anyway, it's hotter the further north you go, of course. But between 20 and 30, that's fine. As long as the temperature, the outside temperature, is not higher than what the target temperature of the milk is supposed to be, then you'll have no problems whatsoever. When you're air drying the cheese after you've taken it out of the press, depending on the cheese you're making, of course, you may have some issues with the cheese not air drying properly, so you may need to air dry it into the in a cheese fridge. And we talked about a cheese fridge before, so I hope that helps. Dominic says, what temperature would you pasteurize the milk before to get back to 40? So I did a video on low temperature long hold, Dominic. Where is it? Let me just find it for you. And I'm pretty sure it's about 63 degrees and you hold it for 30 minutes. home pasteurisation. Here it is. So this video here. So let me just grab that for you, pop it into the chat box. So check that out. Pretty sure it's about 63 degrees, and like I said, hold it at that temperature for 30 minutes and then rapidly cool it down to 4 degrees Celsius or to the target temperature that you're making the cheese at. So if it's like 32 degrees, cool it down rapidly to 32, add your cultures, and away you go. So you shouldn't have too many problems at all. Michael says, yes, Gavin, watched that video today. Oh, okay, very cool. Jenny is making shev at the moment. Well done. Muhammad says, is there anything wrong with freezing milk, or is it just a myth? Apparently, it's just as good if you stir it thoroughly. Yeah, like I said, within a couple of weeks, it should be fine. Okay, Colin, hello, Colin in WA, says, I have 0 curd set with my batch of whey ricotta. Could using homogenised and pasteurised milk be the problem? Indeed, it would be. When you used pasteurised, homogenised milk, there tends to be very little whey proteins left after the curd is formed. So, yeah, that would be the problem. If the whey is cloudy, yes, you should get some ricotta. If the whey is fairly clear, then there are hardly any whey proteins in there at all, and you won't get whey ricotta. It also depends on the type of cheese you're making as well. If you're making soft cheeses, then you won't get much out of it. Also, if you're making something like any acid set cheeses, the whey won't work. You won't get whey ricotta. One of the best ones I made, whey ricottas, was when I used sheep's milk to make a pecorino romano. It was absolutely beautiful, and the milk was so creamy. I got an extra nearly 500 grams of ricotta out of the 10 litres of sheep's milk because the fat content was so high. So yeah, that was very cool. Says the original milk was extra cream pasteurised. The whey ended up very messy with a thick layer of butterfat. Yeah, that tends to be the case. So that's probably why it didn't work, mate. Okay, we will call it a night. So thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen, curd nerds. Fasulu says, when are you planning on doing a YouTube boxing fight? No, I'll just leave that to the crazy YouTubers, not me. Anyway, thanks for watching, curd nerds. If you want to learn to make cheese in a structured manner, you could do no worse than popping over to the Curd Nerd Academy at courses.littlegreenworkshops.com.au. Let me just show that address once again before it disappears. I need to fix that. But yeah, you can. It's $150 Australian. You learn how to make 9 cheeses, fully structured, and you can ask questions from me and I reply within 24 hours as the instructor. So that works well. Also, if you're going to make your own cheese and you want to pick up some cheese making supplies, pop over to littlegreenworkshops.com.au. And merch, like this lovely t-shirt I'm wearing. Let me have a look. Can I show it? There we go. Make cheese, not war. Go to merch.cheeseman.tv and you'll be confronted with all of the lovely stuff, including on YouTube. You can see the little merch shelf down below that I've highlighted some of the merch that is in the shop. You can pick up the copies of the ebooks, Keep Calm and Make Cheese and Keep Calm and Make More Cheese. Plus you can buy paper versions, and a lot of you have. I've sold nearly 50 copies of the bundle, the 2 books together, Keep Calm and Make Cheese and Keep Calm and Make More Cheese, to all the places we ship to. So very happy with those results. Obviously there was a demand for it. I should have done it a lot earlier. Anthony says, very good books. Thank you very much, Anthony. I appreciate the feedback. Yeah, I think the binding's really good because you can open the book right up and it hasn't got, you know, like these books. I'm not saying this is a good book. It's not a bad book. But when you're trying to put the recipe up, it doesn't stay flat, does it? So, bound books too. And I don't have any with me because I sold the last one today. I've got to go make some more tomorrow. So, yeah, they're on the website. You can buy them. I just got to make some more. Anyway, very cool. Thanks, everybody. I will see you on Sunday morning my time or next Wednesday evening. So, thanks for watching, Curd Nerds, and I'll see you next time.